first define what exactly is retail arbitrage. What is your business model? What do you exactly do, Jamison?
Basically, I buy stuff from like Target and Walmart's, Barnes and Noble, GameStop, and other local stores around here. I buy products from them cheaper than what I can sell them for on Amazon. So I'll go to these stores and I'll scan the barcodes using my Amazon seller app, and then I'll look at all the data, and it'll tell me, if I can make money on that product, and if I can, then I'll figure out how many of that item I want to buy. And then I ship it off into Amazon. And then once the customer buys it, Amazon will ship it to the customer. That's, I guess, in a nutshell what I do.
Yes. Yeah. So you go to retail stores. What are some of the stores that you go to? Like, what are some common stores?
I do Targets and Walmarts, Ollie's, GameStop, Kmart's. I mean, Kmart's are starting to die out, so there's not really many left, but Kmart's
still around.
We have a few left, but they're in the process of closing right now. So Kmart's. When Toys R Us was hot, that was like my best store ever. So when Toys R Us closed, I had to definitely do a lot of transition.
Did you cry when they closed? Be honest.
I didn't cry, but like a little part of my soul just like crumbled. Like, I think that's the reason why like my life hasn't like made sense. No, I was kidding. I was pretty bummed. I was pretty bummed when it closed. I really was.
Interesting. So you go to all these retail stores and you've got the Amazon seller app, which is a free app. You've got it equipped on your phone. You go in there. And are you going only after clearance items, or what's your strategy? Like, what advice would you give? I mean, I guess let's start with like, what do you exactly do? And then we'll give advice to the people. But what's your strategy when you walk into a store? Are you bringing in coupons? Are you researching it online and then going in? Like, what's your mindset? Like, how do you know what to go after, and where do you start in a store?
I do. So like, I'll use Target as an example. Target, I'm in their ads all the time. They have their cartwheel or whatever you call it, Target Circle or whatever that's called. They'll have different coupons in there every week. I'll take a look at those. I even take advantage of like buying discounted Target cards. Like if you have a Target like credit card, you get 5% off your purchase all the time, which is nice extra discount. Yeah. But if you can buy discounted Target gift cards online from like, Gift Card Granny, Ray's, and whatever, there's like 10 million websites. They generally run 4 to 10%, just depending on the time of the year, time of the month, and like the availability. So I generally buy a lot at 7%, which isn't like a ton above 5, but when you're spending a lot of money there, that extra 2% difference makes a big deal. So that that gives me an extra couple percent margin over the next seller. I can lower my price a few extra percent lower than that seller on Amazon and still make the profit that I'm looking to make. I take advantage of coupons if there are any. Mostly discounted gift cards is the main thing, and then sales, and then I learn how to stack the sales properly. Sometimes Target will run like you spend $100 on toys, you'll get $25 off, and then I'll stack an extra coupon or a discounted gift card, and then that way that'll give me my best price, and then I'll ship it off into Amazon.
Very cool. Fat Elvis Good says Big Lots. Do you ever source from Big Lots?
Well, yeah, a couple times a year. I've gone to Big Lots. I like Big Lots. They sell, you can find really rare, old, discontinued toys there. So I do like Big Lots for that.
R1J1 is asking, is there a minimum amount to ship of each product to Amazon? So thanks, Jules. So you go to, Ollie's, you pick up a bunch of items. Is there a minimum amount of these items that you're looking for to ship them off, or are you combining different products in the box?
Like right now for shopping, like I always have a lot, so I'm not too worried about it. But like when I was starting out and I wasn't very good at finding products, I would wait until I got, maybe like 30 or 40 or 50 items, give or take in that ballpark. So that way I could at least fill up a whole box and not be shipping out 1 or 2 items to Amazon. So I would wait until I could fill up a couple boxes, and then I would ship it out and then continue to shop and source.
How do you analyze a deal before you buy it? So you go into Ollie's, Big Lots. So what are the things that you're looking for on the app when you scan a product? So let's just say, for example, I don't know, got this little lion poster right here.
You're going to bring out a plant or something.
So you've got this pen and you scan the barcode, right? You scan the barcode of this. Let's just say let's just pretend this is a board game, right? It's a lion board game. We're going to get it for Reseller University. So say this is for $14.99 and you scan the barcode. What are the elements within the Amazon seller app that you're looking for to determine whether you're going to buy this item or not?
So basically, when I scan an item, I'll see what like my return is after Amazon fees and shipping, and then I'll also see how fast the item sells. I'll look at the rank. So toys could be ranked anywhere from like 1 to 1 million, and basically depending on what the rank says for that item, that you can kind of figure out how fast that item is going to sell. I use another software called Keepa. I pay for that. I think it's like $17 a month, and I can kind of figure out how many will sell a month or whatever, and then I can kind of make my decision off of that. So if there's maybe like 2 or 3 of the board games, or 10 or 50, then I can figure out how many of those board games I want to buy. Generally, my model is where I like to stick to faster moving items, where that I can just clear the shelf of that item, and I don't mind making, like, I'll take a a better ROI if I find it, but I go for like medium to lower ROI, but where I can move a lot of product. When I was starting out, I would just like, now that there's so many softwares and different things, people have a lot more information. So if they started Amazon today, they have so much more available to them to learn this and figure out how many products to buy, what to buy, and where to buy them, as opposed to when we started 5 years ago, when there was like no information. We had to basically trial and error everything. Yeah. There wasn't courses. There wasn't like Guru wasn't a thing back then. So we had to just trial and error it back then. I would buy it and sell and just keep doing it and learn as I went. And then I kind of learned how to do it. But now there's so much information. I mean, there's like probably like 5 billion YouTuber resellers out there now that you can watch and learn from. Yeah. I mean, there's tons of softwares. I guess anyone that hasn't started, that's looking to start, like I have friends like that I know in the Tony Robbins world that are trying to get into Amazon. And sometimes and they'll ask me, like, oh, I saw this course here. What do you know? They'll ask me, like, they'll say, this guy's selling a course. What do you know about him? And I'll say, like, hey, don't mess with that course. Don't mess with that guy. He's not legit, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell them the same thing. Like, just sign up for Amazon, start with what you know, like sell products that you're comfortable with, familiar with. Like, I started with toys and video games. I knew the video game market, so I started with that. So I felt comfortable with that, and I grew and then expanded into other categories. That's what I'll tell anybody that's starting now is like sell stuff you're familiar with. Like if you're into makeup and lipstick and stuff like that, maybe you could start in that category.
Why is that important to start with something that you know? I mean, it's kind of obvious, like you probably have a better chance of succeeding, but what would give you a better chance of succeeding? Just because you like kind of have a feel for what sells, what doesn't, you understand like the product more? Like why start with something that you know versus just learning the analytics or the data?
Yeah, it's a lot of that too. And it's like, you probably might know like what's a good brand, what's a good quality. Sometimes I know with like, with video games and toys, and I think even with makeup too, they'll have like a limited run of a certain shade, or a certain brand will release a summer product or something like that. Like they'll have a limited run, and that may be more sought after. So that might be, those might be good products. So yeah, it's just like, and then you can expand easily into any other product, but like just start where you're comfortable. Because if you start where you don't even know, if you're like, start with, you have no use or nothing to know about tools, and you start with tools, you're going to get overwhelmed, and not know what to do. So like start where you're comfortable, and then you can kind of expand and learn from there. Because like once you get that momentum going, then you'll feel more comfortable when you expand and learn.
How much money do you need to get started with retail arbitrage? And I know this is somewhat of like a loaded question because it's probably going to depend upon your goals and how fast you want to make money. Are you doing it full-time, part-time? What are your goals, like I mentioned? But what would you say is the minimum amount of money that someone could get started with, and maybe over a 6 to 12 month period, build this into an income that maybe makes them $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month?
Yeah, you can start with anything. You can start with stuff. Like I know, like there's a lot of changes in Amazon, but like you could start, if you don't have much money or anything, you could start on eBay and like, sell stuff from garage sales and around the house, because that's what I would start at. Start with stuff you have around your house. You could throw that stuff on eBay, get a little bit of money, and then you can go buy Amazon product or whatever. I would like optimize both platforms in the beginning. But yeah, you could start with anything, like $5, 10, like if you don't have much, like, you can start with pretty much nothing and just, kind of build your way up. But, if you do have a little more money, it's probably a little bit better. But just make sure you're like, learn the knowledge, you learn as you go. Because like you could have, 50 grand to load into products and not know what you're doing. And you could just get your butt kicked and buy the wrong products, buy the wrong thing, and you could lose, so make sure you're like ready to buy the products and you know what you're doing and you have an understanding. But, you know, like also like if anyone's ever thinking of starting, if you are going to buy a course from anybody, like just make sure you do your research on the person selling the course. I'm a big believer in is you can't give what you don't have. So I've never sold $1 million in 1 year on Amazon. So if I put out a course and I said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to sell $1 million in a year on Amazon, I can't do that. I've never done it. So just make sure, like, if you ever do that, like, make sure you're buying from someone who's done it.
Yeah, great advice. And I always say, you know, find one person or find two people that you want to follow advice from. There's a lot of good information out there. There's a lot of bad information out there. It's not all about like finding the person who's making the most money as well. Like you want to find somebody that you connect with. And that's not just for courses, but for mentors, for, you know, books that you want to read and stuff, all because I enjoyed a book. You might hate it, right? Because you just don't connect with that author's writing style, so on and so forth. Nikki wants to know our sales, and we're not going to say any keywords that are going to get us in trouble. But Nakeem's asking, are sales for you slowing down to what's going due to what's going on today, the last couple of weeks? I would guess they're probably going up, but I don't know. You tell me.
They've been slow the last week. They're a lot lower than they have been. Like I'm just looking at my Amazon app right now. Like I'd say for the last like 7 days, my sales are probably 30-40% less every day. I do have like 1 or 2 products that are like, I'm not selling a ton of toys right now. And like once they put that cut off, like I had a lot of stuff that I needed to get out. I was able to get like a few boxes out like the night before. So that was nice. But right now I'm selling just 1 or 2 products that are kind of like keeping me afloat, that I'm making a decent profit on. But right now everything is really, really low for the most part. My sales are almost tanked, you know.
How are you dealing with FBA shipments right now? Are you keeping all your product that you have and waiting to send in, or selling fulfillment by merchant?
So the day before they announced the not sending stuff in, I was able to, like, over that couple day period, I was able to fill up like 8 boxes. So that really, really helped. And then the next morning I woke up, I still had my shipment open. And I was like, I woke up the next morning, I was kind of excited. I was like, I'm hoping they'll still let me list because I already have an open shipment. I was like praying that I could still continue to list because then I would list all the stuff, but then it like wouldn't let me. So I just ended the shipment. I had UPS come to pick like 8 boxes. And then basically from then to now, I just started sourcing, you know, more like beauty products like that are, you know, essential, but not like, you know. So I sent in a little bit of that. That's selling all right. But it's going to be the month will be tough. Like I won't lie. Like my sales are going to be, you know, they're going to get like with not being able to send stuff in for 3 weeks. That's going to crush like really bad. That's going to be, you know, 80% of my income for the next month is going to be gone. So right now I listed a few things on eBay. When I have time, I will probably jump into the merchant FBM a little bit if I can make a decent ROI. But if not, I'll just have to wait it out and just the day we're allowed to ship in, just like hit like a 24-hour session and just get a ton of stuff out.
Share with everyone before this question that's on the screen. What is FBM and how does that work?
FBM is fulfillment by merchant. If you've ever sold on eBay, it's kind of like the same thing without having to take photos of the item. Basically, you just list it on Amazon as a merchant. And once the item sells, then you'll, you know, put the item in an envelope or a box, and then you'll slap your label on from Amazon, and then you'll drop it off at UPS or the post office. So you're just fulfilling the item yourself instead of having Amazon fulfill it like I normally do.
What do you like most about the retail arbitrage model for the folks who are interested in, you know, starting to go to Walmarts and Targets and flipping stuff on Amazon? What do you enjoy most about it?
To be honest, I actually enjoy the hunt. Like it kind of reminds me, I don't know, this is kind of a weird, this is probably like a dumb comparison.
Crazy that's going to happen.
Like, I don't know if like when I was a kid, like, you know, for Easter, like we didn't have a ton of money, but my mom would still get me the little plastic eggs and throw some candy in there and hide them around our apartment. And then she would like tell me if I'm hot and cold or if I'm close to them. And like looking for those as a kid, like it was like a hunt, like a treasure hunt, you know, like it like was so amazing. Even though there was like, it was just jelly beans or something in them, it was still so fun to do. So that almost kind of reminds me of that, doing this. So when I go into a Target, it's like I'm doing the same thing, like a treasure hunt, but instead of like jelly beans, I'm getting cash.
T's asking, how do you avoid IP claims when you buy from stores like Walmart?
I love that question. All right. This is honestly, for me, I think is probably a tip that people probably do not share. And this is the best way that I avoid IP claims. So if I go to so what I've learned about doing RA is that I stick to brands that I know. I try not to venture out into new brands, not that I'm like willing to learn or anything like that. But if I do venture out into a new brand that I'm not familiar with, first I would make sure you're in a lot of free Facebook groups, FBA ones. And what I do is I'll go into each one of those Facebook groups that I'm in, and I will type that brand name into the search category while I'm in that group. And if anyone else has ever talked about that brand, a post will pop up. If no posts pop up, that means nobody's talked about it. And that means it's less likely that there's an IP out for that. And I'll even jump into Google and I'll type in brand name, IP claims, Amazon. And sometimes the forums will pop up. And then also another tip too is that when you do find a brand that you're not familiar with, go jump on the Amazon listing and see who's selling it. If there's one FBA seller or one merchant fulfilled seller, look on the back of that box. Look at the LLC, look at the brand name, and see if that brand name company is on the listing. If they're on the listing, there's probably a better chance than not that you're going to get hit with an IP claim. So avoid that. That's another way to avoid. And then also the Facebook thing is huge. That's how I've been in the last year. I've probably been hit with maybe 1 or 2 IP claims, and I sell like 25,000 items a year.
Do you mind sharing some free Facebook groups that people could join that are just like primarily like retail arbitrage or Amazon that you're active in?
Gosh, I don't. The main one that I would suggest joining, I don't remember the name of it, but I know it has the word FBA and suspension in it. It's like a suspension group where people talk about being suspended or getting IP claims. It's a free group. I don't remember what it's called, but that's a really, that's probably one of my favorite free groups to be in, because they talk more they talk about a lot of the Amazon terms of service, things that are going on in the community. You know, if someone got suspended, they might talk about it.
Group. I see Amazon seller suspensions, reinstatement, legal issues, and IP, 450 members. Because this is huge, because if you guys don't understand what an IP claim is, it's essentially when your account gets, it's almost like it's like a ding against your account. If you get too many of them, you'll get suspended.
Oh, here it is. The Facebook group is called Amazon Seller Performance Suspensions. Rights owner legal issues. There's 31,000 people in the group. I love that group. I've learned so much from that group. Just reading comments and posts, and you really can kind of get an understanding of what brands to avoid. So like I have a huge, I didn't write the list down, but like in my head, I have a huge list of brands not to mess with on Amazon. And I've learned a lot from that group. That's a really good group that I would recommend joining.
Awesome. Very cool. Midwest Picker is saying, good advice, Jamison. Do you use the Walmart app to scan UPCs at Walmart for hidden clearance items?
Yeah, I've been doing that for probably like 4 years now. Yeah, I remember I started doing that many years ago before anyone knew about that. Yeah, so basically if I'm in the video game section, I do a lot of video games at Walmart. So I'll go to Walmart, and if you see all the video games are locked up in a case usually, I'll jump on the Walmart Wi-Fi, because that'll make sure you log into that store's pricing. You jump on the Walmart app, and then I'll go through and Walmart will have the price of the game, say $59.99, and then there'll be a Walmart barcode on that same thing, and I'll scan it with the Walmart app while the game is in the case. So here's the game, and I'm scanning it through the glass, and then it'll scan the item, and it'll tell me that price of that item for that store. Now it says $59.99, but sometimes it'll ring up for $5, $10, $20, whatever. And then I can jump on Amazon and see if I can make any money on that. And so also in my head, I have a really big list of games that I know are marked down at nationwide around the country. And I spent like 3 years learning that system, how to do that. And so I know a lot of games that are marked down when I go to Walmart because of that.